Well, welcome. What I'm going to show today is uComponents for version, well, the latest version, version 4. So, you know, it's not the future of uComponents in V5. It's just going to be what you can do today with macro sites. So it's going to be 5 tips or lesser known features of uComponents to help you be more productive. So firstly, I'm Lee Kelleher. I've been using Umbraco for 3 or 4 years. I'm currently an MVP, which means that the community voted for me for some reason. And yeah, so very active in the forums and try to help wherever I can. Released a lot of open source packages, so the biggest one that I contribute to is uComponents, which seems to be the most popular package. And has anyone not used uComponents, or is everyone? You've not used it? Okay. Yeah, so uComponents is, what is uComponents? So uComponents, the project, is a collaborative project where set developers all wanted to make pretty cool components for Umbraco. So that includes sort of data types and XLT extensions. So getting ahead of myself. Yeah, so what are the uComponents? So at the moment we've got a lot of data types. There's about, I think in the latest release, there's about 30. A lot of XLT extensions. There's some not found handlers where you can either do sort of like 301 redirects or 404 pages. There's another facility which is like a helper library called uQuery. There's a lot of stuff in there, and most people who use uComponents know a little bit of it. They've got like one data type that they use, which is generally the multi-node tree picker. So they don't know what else is in there. So when I say, oh, you could do this in uComponents, they're like, well, what does it all do? What else is in there? So today I'm going to give you a little demonstration. So what I will do first is I will release the next version of uComponents. So it's got, this is live. So uComponents version 3 is released. It's released. Its resolution's not good. Oh no, let me fix this. Don't know why it's not working. Okay, so big enough. So I will download uComponents just to show I'm not doing any kind of trickery or anything. This is what you can download today and use. Okay. So then, in my Umbraco site, which is a little demonstration site that I put together for today, we shall install uComponents. Yeah, it's not the most exciting thing to do. Okay, give that a moment. So what happens when you first install uComponents is that you're given a dashboard control which says which features would you like to enable on your site. So we have UI modules, which includes keyboard shortcuts and drag and drop, which I'll demo as well. So I'm going to tick a whole bunch of these. Some of these not found handlers I don't need. The only one I'm going to demo today is 404 handler, so you can be able to pick which content pages for your 404 page, and then I'll just go through various XLT extensions. Okay, so they're all installed. So they've updated the relevant configuration files, so you don't have to manually open those up. You can just do it from there.
Is that straightforward to upgrade as well?
Yeah, it's. So I've actually just have upgraded there. So what will happen? It just replaces the DLL in the bin folder. The only bad thing, and I don't know if this is an Umbraco bug or a package bug, is that multiple copies of uComponents gets listed in the install packages section. Is that big enough for everyone? Yeah, so you'll see that they get listed here, but everything else is upgraded. So yeah, we can try to figure out how to work around that. Okay, so the first thing to demonstrate are the UI modules. So last year at the UK Festival, we released version 2, which came with the UI modules, and one of the new features was keyboard shortcuts. So if anyone saw my presentation last year, you'll have seen this, but since it's been released, I don't know how many people are actually using it, or if it's a well-known feature, but it can help your productivity. Because, let me refresh this page. Okay, so to enable the keyboard shortcuts, you hold down Control and Shift, and it will highlight all the various sections of the back office. So if you hold down Control and Shift and then press the keyboard shortcut, you'll be taken to that area. So if I was to press Control Shift and H for the help section, it would just open up a new browser window or tab, so you get help on that area you're in. Or if you just quickly want to navigate through the different sections, just hold down Control and Shift. I want to go to the media section, so press 3, just loads up the media section. Now, so if you get used to using the keyboard shortcuts, you can navigate quite quickly through the site. I mean, generally what I tend to do is open up multiple tabs, across the top. So if I've got, content section or settings section or developer section, but if you're quite faster with keyboard shortcuts, then you can navigate through the sections much faster. Right. Okay, so the next one of the UI modules is drag and drop. Now, drag and drop is it adds a little quirk to the back office. What it will do is that if you navigate between the different sections, it may not refresh the right-hand side panel. So the reason for this is that you can go to your content section and you can select a node that, say, has a media picker on there. So for this About Us page, there's a media picker. So if I click on the media section, please work. No. There goes my demo. Let me try the keyboard shortcut and see if that. Boom. Right, well, can't do that one. I'll do a content one instead. So one of the things I will talk about shortly is the 404 not found handler. It's good for this demonstration with drag and drop because I've got a content picker here at the bottom, which would just choose a content node. So instead, now if you could actually take which page you want it to be, the 404 page or whatever content page, and literally just drag and drop onto. Didn't work.
Perhaps you need to update the web cover to the wrong.
Let me check these. Multiple. Yeah. Okay. I already found the book. It's done it 3 times. Let me try this again. Let's try the media bit again.
What was that fix?
Because I've installed it multiple times, it seems that the web config settings appended, they're true, separate, well, 3 times where I've installed it 3 times. So I've just had to change that. It's just, there is some settings for the drag and drop. Some people didn't, we got some feedback and people didn't like the drag and drop. The reasons they didn't like it was that they would have a multi-node tree picker which had certain restrictions, for not to include certain document types, but the drag and drop wouldn't honour those restrictions. So people wanted to disable drag and drop. And the tray peak is this functionality of being able to change the section that you're currently in, but without changing the right-hand side panel. Right, so if I try this media one again. Okay, so yeah, click on the media. So it's not updated the right-hand panel, because that's bug in the web config. And I can just drag straight in. So that you can see which the areas you can can apply these to as well. Don't know how to, yeah, so just close that there. Okay, save and publish that. So some people don't like the fact that if I was on this, you know, had there's a content section, looking at a content page, and clicked on a different section, say, I don't know, the media section again, it didn't update the right-hand side. So that can be disabled using that. That's called tray peak. I know a lot of people do. But yeah, it's so you can drag and drop between different sections. So you know you can go to media and yeah, drag into content.
Is that all jQueries?
Yeah, yeah. It uses some jQuery libraries for both keyboard shortcuts and draggables. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is XLT extensions. So while we're still allowed to use XSLT, we have various extensions, but you know, if you ever look through the source of uComponents, if you're bored, there's a lot of help methods in there. So they're not all specifically for XSLT. We've just called them XLT extensions because to just wrap it all in the same sort of helper classes. Okay, so as you can see from the list that we had earlier, but I'll show you some documentation we've got. So we tried to document as much as we can for uComponents. Our Coplex site has a list of all the data types and all the XLT extensions. So there's quite a lot in there. So the first one we shall look at is dates. Now if I go to the documentation for dates, okay, it tells you how to include it if you didn't include it on the install. But we have various methods here. Some of the more popular ones are getPrettyDate, where you pass a date string and it will tell you sort of like a relative time. So if you posted it 10 minutes ago, it will say 10 minutes ago, or 1 week ago, or last year. So you can use that. I'll show you this shortly. So a couple of demo now. Another one is age. So for to have this in context, I have a little demonstration site called uFixit, which is a fake IT business support, computer support company. So in here we can meet the team. Load. There's the guys. So one of the fields we've got is to put in the age. So in Umbraco, we've got a field for the age, which is just a date picker. Okay, so they put in the date, but we'd like to present that in a better way. So I'll be using XSLT for my demo. Okay, hopefully it won't scare everybody. So what we've done is just output the date field. Yeah, is that large enough? Okay, so with the uComponents, there's a couple of ways of doing this. I mean, I do all my XLT within Visual Studio, so I type everything by hand. So I kind of use the Coplex documentation as reference and just copy and paste things over. There is other ways to do this in the XSLT editor, which I'll show now. Yeah, so let's just say I want to add in the age, so you can do this. Has anyone used this? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So we will use an XLT extension. I think we used this twice. Okay. So all the XLT extensions are listed here. So pick this one, date, and we use the age one. Okay. So use date of birth. Oh no. No, go back. Alright, so I shall do this again.
You can type straight in the parentheses in the other dialog.
Can?
Yeah.
You know, see.
I'm not a UX guy, but I know.
Look at that. Brilliant. Right. Okay, so this will insert. Oh, it puts it in the string. Did it insert? It did insert. Okay, well we don't want it in quotes. Okay, so you can see before I actually hand typed that. Okay, so now if I get rid of the original date of birth, we'll go back to the site, and we shall see that Jeff's age is 47. Okay, so just like there's lots of little helper methods which you just, you know, if you need to be able to just do this quickly, then you can refer to, you know, see if there's any functions in uComponents that you can just quickly reuse. So let's just say we want to change that to the get pretty date. I won't go through the thing again. So this will tell me how long ago that date was. So, oh, I think actually if it's after so long, it will just revert to like a date format, which you can override and give it a formatting string, so you can format it however you like. But I'll change the value so it's something more in context. So let's just say I need to come to this year. Clearly. So let's just say it was yesterday, because Jeff was born yesterday. So yeah, it will say yesterday, and if we could add a time onto there, it'll give it a bit more context. So if you start putting last couple of hours ago, it would keep it all relative. It's the sort of thing you see on Twitter.
Are those strings overnight?
They're not. No. But yeah, if there was a way we could do it, then yeah, it'd be good to include. Okay. Yes.
I presume that when you say these are XSLT extensions, they are just static methods.
They are, yeah, just static methods, so you can use them in Razor or user controls or even your own assemblies. Just reference the DLL and include them. The only ones that are a problem are the ones that return to get technical XPath node iterators or things like that. Okay, so the next XLT extension is search. So well, Doug is in the room, but I use XSLT search quite a lot. But if you just wanted to have if you would already have an examine index or for Lucene, then you can use this XLT extension to just quickly return data or search results from that examine index. So if you're using maybe examine elsewhere. So what I did earlier was just created a new examine index and a searcher for it. I've just made it local for the site. So I just included one line that says, you know, I've got a new index set. This is the location of it. Then in the settings, you just add, you know, the new index and new searcher. Yeah, there's some blog posts on this, but yeah, you have to do this manually in the configuration files. Okay, so what will happen then once you've got the examine index? You can call in your search results. So yeah, this is only for XSLT because the search only returns an XPath node iterator, so it gives you a collection of XML nodes instead. So if you wanted to do this with Razor, you couldn't use this extension, but you could actually, you know, put the code snippet in to do this and query examine directly. So what we have on this one is using the uComponents search namespace. I pass through a query to a method called quick search, and we've got some other ones on there for like advanced search. See a list. Okay, so we've got, yeah, there's quite quite a lot of various overloads for these methods. So we've got quick search, which can just take just a string, and then the next one would be whether you want it to be a wildcard search, and then the third parameter, which I need to update this documentation, is the index set that you wanted to use, or the index searcher that you wanted to use. If you don't specify those, it will just use the inbuilt Umbraco internal one. I'm not sure which fields that's got indexed. Don't know if it indexes everything. There should be, yeah, it'll have at least these fields that you could query on, which isn't always relative to what you want to do, what you want to search on. Okay, so I've already hooked this up in the background that I can just do a search. I should have done a fluid design. Okay. So, because this is an IT support company, let's try just support. So that will, in the XSLT, it makes a call to the XLT extension and brings, it stores all the XML nodes in this variable called results. And what I do there is just apply templates. You could loop through them, but it would just give you a collection of nodes. So you just, in your XLT, you would just print them out as you would any other, with like current page or, yeah. It just gives you back the XML node for that document. So, yeah.
Did that do
Okay.
paging for you?
Pardon?
Did it do paging?
No, the search doesn't do pagination itself, no. But it's something that's been discussed quite a lot, whether we should have some pagination XLT extensions, so you could just give it a collection of nodes and sort of say, I want these pages, and another extension to output page numbers, various things. Yeah, but currently no, it doesn't do that. And the last one was strings that I'm going to demo. Okay, so on the search results, we've got a little snippet of each of the code pages, which is the content pages, which just shows the body text, or a snippet of the body text. But as you can see with this one, it gets truncated after so many characters. So at the moment, I'm using Umbraco Library's truncate string. So what I'm doing with body text here is just using strip HTML to get rid of all HTML, and then truncate string to just get the first so many characters of that. But really, I don't want it to split in the middle of a word. So we have some XLT extensions which can give you so many words instead. Okay, so the strings library contains a lot of things. I won't go into them all now. If you want to ask me questions afterwards, then we can look at any of them. So one of the ones we've got is get first words. So it takes a couple of parameters. First one is the actual content. The next one is the number of words you want, and there's an overload for it to pass through what you would like at the end to append. So it can just be an ellipsis, or it could be whatever kind of character you want. If you don't specify anything, it will just put an ellipsis in. Okay, so what I can do here is change this. I need to add the namespace reference. See, this, I think this is one of the reasons why XSLT is going, because it's just so much typing. Okay. Okay, so what we can do here instead is we can use uComponents strings, get rid of this, and it was get first words. So passing through the body text, I would like the first, make it really short, first 10 words, and then we can append an ellipsis, but I will also get rid of that. Okay, come back. Okay, so it just makes it easier, and it delimits it at a word. rather than just cutting it off in the middle.
You remove the
Really?
HTML strip. Sorry, it
So-
strips the HTML automatically.
Yeah. So it strips the if you look at the source, it strips the HTML and delimits it by word boundaries. Is it a regular expression? I don't know. But yeah, it does something. But yeah, it's okay. So other things that it's got. I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot to demo.
Did you use that in a razor file, that method?
Yeah. I mean, the majority of these do just return strings. Is there any that return? To be honest, I think that whole library just returns string. So yeah, you can use that in any code, any C# code, or C# Visual Basic. Yeah. So like there's lots of helper methods in there. We found that there was various parts where we would use string formatting, but we couldn't do it in XLT. So we've bridged the gap where you can do string formatting in XLT. There's other ones of making emails hyperlinks. So you give it an email address, and it will automatically convert it into a hyperlink. Same with URLs as well. Yeah, so you can peruse the documentation. Okay, next up is data types. So some of the newer ones, the problem we've had with uComponents is that because a lot of the developers have been so eager and so active, we've just been hammering out lots and lots of data types. When we first released uComponents, I think we had 6 or 7 data types, and now there's 30. And I have a hard time trying to keep up with what's in there. So I'll demonstrate a couple of the newer ones, and also some of the lesser known ones, because some people just don't know how to use some of these data types, so are put off by using them. So the first one is one called multiple text string. Now, what this does is it allows you to create lists. So you would, instead of just having one text box, or you'd add multiple properties for any kind of list. So I mean, for this demo, I want to show the skills. So each of these guys who work for this company have various skills that they can do and can offer. So to do this, I've already created this. You would create a new data type for the multiple text string. You pick the render control for, how big is it? Too big? You pick the render control for multiple text string. I mean, as you can see, there is a lot of uComponents data types in there. And then you can specify in this pre-value editor what's the minimum amount of items that you want, what's the maximum amount of items. So because I've got no upper limit or anything, I've just gone with just having one, and then maximum can be as many as you like. So I've added that to a document type for these staff members. And here we can see further down, no, a bit smaller. Is that alright? Is that visible at the back, towards the back? Okay, so what this does is just gives you a list of text boxes. So if you wanted to add more and more items, you could just keep pressing things and just hit an enter. And then if you realise that you wanted to resort these into a different order, there's dragging on there, or you can just delete, and it will delete the row. So these get saved these get saved as XML nodes. So each item is its own XML node. So that's quite easy in XLT just to loop through. So the code for that, I can't remember details, would be, so the XML that you get back is similar to this. It just says value, and then each one is a separate value. So you can just loop through each of these outputting the text. And when you change the sort order and save and publish it, or it automatically changes that as well. So we get listed just like this. Now, some people may just want to have lists in a rich text editor, which is fine. but with using something like this, you can have a bit more control of the markup. So let's just say you want to change from an unordered list to an ordered list, then it's quite easy to do that. Or if you wanted to kind of restrict the what gets displayed, you could have like an if statement and see if the text contains certain words. So you could reuse lists in different areas of the site. So next data type.
Is there a content picker version of that? So it's not text, it's actually
We would use a multi-node tree picker for that. Yeah, has it? Could be used as well. Yeah, there is like a little bit of overlap with different things. Has anyone not used multi-node tree picker? Okay. Shall I do a quick demo of multi-node tree picker? Just so everyone knows what it does. It's the main. It's the one data type that people would use uComponents for. It needs to be in the core, and we are working on doing that. So I will add in a multi-node tree picker, which we affectionately called MNTP. Okay, so multi-node tree picker gives you a mass of options. You can pick from content or media. So in this will be in content. You can specify an XPath expression to have the start node, or you can just pick from somewhere in the site. So let's just say for this, I just want to pick from the home page node. I don't need to disable anything. I'll just go with most of the defaults. You can have it output XML or just a CSV string, which would just be all the node IDs. So just do that in this case. Okay, I'll add this to document type. Just add it on the home page. Okay. First one. And I'll put it at the top so it's easier to see. Okay, so multi-node tree picker will give you the tree view, and you just click on various nodes and just add them to the list, and you can sort these and do whatever. So that would, you could use that as the multiple content picker.
So you can use that with relationships?
Yes, there is. I'm not going to demo today because I've not set up the relations, but we have another data type called multi-picker relations. Is that right? Is Henry still in the room? No, it's the wrong way. There's we've been working on a way that if you have a multi-node tree picker, and let's just say so the home page has picked the about page, it would be good to have that relation known underneath. So if you were on the about page, you would know that this page is referenced in reference. So yeah, we have a picker called multi-picker relations. I need to look this up. Like I say, so many data types. Multi-picker relations. So yeah, you can map the pickers together, either be bidirectional or But I've not set this up to demonstrate.
Have you found a way to make it work with Courier?
I believe the next version of Courier should work.
Yay!
The problem was when you save XML data, Courier couldn't identify the node IDs, or wasn't aware of the structure of the XML to identify the node IDs. It would work with comma separated CSV format. But yeah, so next version of Courier, which I think Per will demonstrate later. Okay. Shall I carry on? What else would I do? Oh, XPath checkbox list. Now, there's times when you have content nodes and you want to be able to reference them in other properties. So for this example site, I've got a list of services. Now there's a few of these data types we've got. We've got one for XPath checkbox list, XPath drop-down list, checkbox tree. So if you have a hierarchical structure. So we've got one here. So I'll show you the checkbox tree. So what we've done is we've got a list of services for this. It's not big enough, a list of services for this company, and we'd like to be able to say in the different other areas of the site where those services are used. So let's just say one of the staff members is good with, it can do particular services. So we're using the checkbox tree to pick services and just list these. So you would just tick which ones they were, and it can save it as comma separated node IDs for those nodes, or it can say, well, let's have a look at the options. Okay, so what we're doing with the checkbox tree is specifying an XPath to select the nodes. We're not doing any filtering. And we just save them out as XML, which just similar to the multi-node tree picker, just XML list of node IDs.
I think we should give Lee a massive amount of applause just for,
So what I've done here is list the different services that this member of staff can do. So on the page, what I want to do now is be able to present that. So I've not commented it out yet. Back here. Okay, so what we can do, this is the XLT for that, for that team members page. So I check if it's got any nodes, and then I just literally loop through each of the nodes, and then you could just output if I just output the text here first. I don't want to scale with this key thing. Okay, it would just list the node IDs for those. So I've already added the link to those, but you want to display the name. So there's a few ways you could do this. You could use XPath to go up and down the content tree. You could use another XLT extension to call the Umbraco library. You could say get XML node by ID. Why do I know this? You want to add the node name? That would work. Or the other way I was doing it is using XSLT keys, which I won't go into now because it scares everybody. But yeah, there's just other ways of doing it. This is just the fastest way. Okay, so we've got listing all the services, but it would be nice on the actual service page to say, well, if you want this service from this company, this is the guy you've got to speak to, this is the key contact. So if I click on services, so this page just lists all the services, and if I open up this XLT for that. Okay, so commented it out. Okay, so what this is, it's quite complicated at XPath, but it's basically checking if any other page has referenced that node ID. So it's going all the way up the tree to the home page and then checking if any of the team members have that service checked as a node. And if they do, just loop through those and just output the name with a link to their profile. Save that, yeah. Okay, so now it would just, for each one of those, it would say that Jeff is your key contact. But if I was to pick a different member of staff and have them as support, it just list them automatically. So you're only editing content in one place. You're not having to do additional mapping. It's just use an XPath to do that. So yeah, Mike, sleeping on the job. Yeah, but this applies for some of the other XPath data types. So yeah, the other ones we've got, I mentioned before, but there's XPath checkbox list, which is just a single checkbox list, so it's not the hierarchy. And there's a drop down as well, which is just pop this drop down list. And the last one that's been in uComponents for a while is Similarity, which Ishmael developed from the I don't want to say Cogworks. Yeah, it's probably not in the room. Okay, so Similarity leverages examine indexes. So the configuration for this would be, you can specify, well, an overview of Similarity. It's similar to the multi-node tree picker, where you would have a selection of nodes to choose from, and then you pick the ones that they appear on the right-hand side. What populates that list on the left-hand side is other documents that are contextually similar based on the property. So if you've got certain keywords in different documents and you want to sort of gather them all together, then this is how you could do that. So I selected just do matches on the body text, return 5, and then you can choose which one of the examined indexes you want to use. So we'll just use our custom one. So I've already added this to the document type of case studies. Okay, so I put this in a separate tab. Now, get rid of these first. Okay, it's not too far zoomed in. Okay, so Similarity will present with a button, find similar. So based on the content of your body text, it will find other documents that are similar. Okay, so it's found these. It's not just restricted to the same document type. It can be anything. I thought I deleted that. Okay. So yeah, so you can just add. Oh, it's already added. No. Okay. Reinvent the wheel. So yeah, so what this will save, it doesn't have the options for like XML or CSV. It just saves the node IDs as CSV. Okay, so then you can, in your XLT, you could look through those. You'd have to split them, but you could look through them, or you could use it in Razor and just do whatever you needed to. Okay, but this one data type that is kind of from my opinion underused, and also there's still like a room for people to use and explore in different ways. Okay, so that's some of the data types. Something that's new in this version, it came out with the beta of 2.2, I don't know if anyone's using the beta, is a control called render templates. And what's special about render templates is that you can pass it a collection, a comma-separated list of node IDs, and it will just render those node IDs. So it will just render those nodes using the template that's associated with it. Now, for most of your pages, the full HTML pages, you don't want to be able to render nested HTML inside each other. It'll look a mess. So what you can do is create sort of snippets of HTML in your template. So this is good for like sidebar widgets, which I'll do a quick example of. So in our content section, we've got some widgets. Now these widgets are just normal documents. I've just got property, all standard. But the templates that they use are just snippets of HTML. So for that one, the widget images. Open this up. Okay, it just contains a razor macro. You know, I thought I'd throw some razor in. Yeah, all the template contains is just enough to display that image or to do whatever you needed it to do. So if I was to view that document directly, all it would do is just display the image with, you know, some HTML brackets around it. Okay, so what I've done on most of the pages is got a multi-node tree picker, which, oh no, not multi-node tree picker, I will use a multi-node tree picker. At the moment, it's just a content picker, so it's not using like a comma separated list of IDs, it's just using just the one ID. But I shall change that. So if I change this to select widgets instead of from the home page, and I'll add this as the property content page. How am I doing for time? I've got no idea what time this finishes. Okay, so I've changed that to a multi-node tree picker. Reload this. Give it a minute. Upload. Okay, so you can pick multiple widgets. So then, when I place this render templates control on my template, it would just render. I would pass it those node IDs and it would just render them out. So in my template for content page, okay, I'll show you how to create the macro first. This is the important macros. Sounds a bit slow now. Okay, so I created a macro called sidebar widgets, and this uses the custom .NET control, which I think a lot of people aren't familiar with because they would just either use XLT or .NET user controls for the macros operator. So with this custom control, you just reference uComponents and then the type. So yeah, the documentation up on Codeflex will tell you to do this, but it's obviously a manual task to do. And then, so once I've got that macro on my page template, I'm placing in this macro, and I'm passing through at the moment hard-coded node IDs, which isn't great. So there's a couple of other extra parameters that you need to pass through because it can support pagination. So you can pass through, what page you're currently looking at, how many entries per page. There is also another option to specify an alternative template. So if you wanted to list some content nodes which have their own template already, you can specify something else to use. So I will use the widgets that I've picked. Now, if I save that again. So if I go to the About page, we should see down the side the widgets that I've selected. Okay, so it's listed those three images. And if I rearrange them, so it works on my machine, let's open, get rid of the motherboards. Then so this isn't just like obviously restricted to images. You can use any kind of template you want. So the other one we've got is a little testimonial. So I can include that in as well on the About page. Save that. Now the template for the testimonial, just to show the little snippet, is it's a block quote with a couple of displaying fields. So that we have that. Oh, hello. Yeah, so that could be at the bottom. So you can put any kind of content you want in the. You specify that as its own template. Okay, I think the last one is uQuery. So uQuery is a helper library to let you get different nodes and manipulate them and access them and do whatever in, say, C# code, in .NET code. So I will give a quick example, because this is, don't know how this is going to pan out. Yeah, there's so much uQuery can do, and I think I've got limited time left. So, what's it show? So, uQuery, I'm going to do some inline coding. State override. Okay. If I reference uQuery, don't code like this. This is bad coding. Okay. I know the namespaces off the top of my head. What's going on? Okay, so I've referenced uQuery. So now I can use. Did I get it wrong? Oh, I don't need to put uQuery. Sorry. Right. Okay, so I have access to uQuery here. So you can do things like you can get current document. So it gets the document off the page that you're currently on if you need to manipulate data, or just get the read-only node. You've got access to that node, which is good. If you had comma-separated list of node IDs, which may be from multi-node tree picker or similarity, you can say get node by CSV and just pass it through comma-separated list. So you've got a collection there, so you can loop through that collection. So for each node in. So yeah, there's just like quick, easy ways of accessing data. We've got all sorts in there. We've got nodes, media. You can get nodes or media by XPath as well. Yeah, so you can just pass through whatever XPath you want and just get back those nodes to manipulate them or bind them to a list. Yeah, the world's your oyster. Okay, so that's all for some of the known features. You can get uComponents on Umbraco. I haven't uploaded version 3 yet. I'll do that after this. Don't forget to vote. I think everyone who can vote for it has voted for it. And the source is up on Codeflex and all documentation. So, any questions? No. Good.
It's not really a question, but could you perhaps tell something about uComponents support for iRazor data type models?
Yes, we have a separate project. Am I running over at all?
Depends if you want sandwich or not.
Does anyone want to know about Razor data type models? Okay, so in using Razor in 4.7, because a lot of the uComponents data types all work with XML, because when we started uComponents there was no Razor, we were just using XLT or user controls. So what we would like to do, which Razor supports in 4.7, is to convert the different data types, the value of those data types into proper models so we can use in Razor. So we've created a separate project. Say we, it's with I forgot his name, Gareth Evans. Yeah, he's created a separate project. I don't know if I've got it here. Yes, I have. Called Umbraco Razor Data Type Models. So support in there so far is for Jerome's DAMP media picker, and we've also got uComponents. So I'll open this up and see how it goes. If anyone's bored, we can get a sandwich. Okay, so this hasn't been released yet, but it should be very soon. So what this will do is for, let's just say something like multi-node tree picker. If you use multi-node tree picker with in Razor and you have this package installed, you can actually, instead of trying to parse out the individual node IDs either from the XML or CSV, it will give you just a collection of nodes instead. So you're just working directly with the nodes, and you're not having to manipulate and go fetch anything. This automatically does it for you. And we've got this for all the uComponents data types. So even things like the multiple text string that I demonstrated earlier, where it just outputs XML, now you're going to get back a list of strings instead, which is what we want. You don't want to have to go through, start manipulating XML to get the values out. This will automatically do it for you. So yeah, that's also up on Coplex. It's not been released as a package yet. It will at some point. Yeah. So is that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That is all.